It is Emmitt Smith. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
How excited do you get for Super Bowls in general, or is it tough to get excited seeing as how, like, you were in the Super Bowls and won 3 of them?
You know, I enjoy the festivities and everything else around the Super Bowl a lot more than actually playing in the game, to be honest with you. I don't feel no stress right now. My team is not in it, so I have no dog in this fight, but I'm excited to see other players. And just see the excitement of everyone around the Super Bowl itself.
Emmitt, how do we get your team back into it? How do we get our team back into the Super Bowl? How do we? What do we need to do better?
Oh man, I said it all season long. You look for a team to grow and mature into who they really are trying to become. And that's the entire staff. That's coaching, that's offense, defense, and special teams. And what we did not see last fall was this team mature into that really growth spurt where they develop this level of consistency that you can count on. We made too many mistakes at the wrong times. We got too many penalties on the football field. We turned the ball over. We were inconsistent in our offensive line play. And which made it very difficult to run the ball, not to mention some of the injuries that we did have. And that's just on the offensive side. So when you start talking about defense, we had guys jumping off sides at the critical times, and then pass interference penalties that was just out of the game. I mean, things like that are things that you want to see eliminated as much as possible. To give our team a chance to develop the consistency that they need for a complete season. And I didn't see our team moving in that direction.
I know it can be dependent on the back and dependent on the situation, but just in general, how much of the production do you think normally falls on the running back versus the offensive line? Because we've had that argument round and around here about the production of Zeke and Pollard versus the struggles of the offensive line. Like, how do you kind of chop up the blame or credit on that?
Well, first and foremost, I tell people all the time, I like Tony Pollard. They ask me if Tony Pollard should be starting and all those kind of things. In my opinion, I think Tony Pollard is a great back. I don't know if he's the every down back. Zeke is your every down back. And most teams prepare for the number one guy. They go in, they break down Zeke's tape every offseason, and they break down offensive line play every offseason. And they're preparing for Zeke every week with the expectation that Tony Pollard is going to get his plays. And he does a great job when he gets in there. But if you had Tony Pollard in there trying to carry the ball 20 times a game, I don't know if he'll last. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but I just don't see that. And I think that's the reason why you see Zeke and Elliott as the number one. They serve as a great 1-2 punch, thunder and lightning, if you ask me. And they're complementary of one another.
So, Emmitt, one of the things about Ezekiel Elliott, the stats say that out of the backfield as a pass receiver, as a guy who catches the ball and makes a play, he struggles at that. You were a guy, I can remember the 92 NFC Championship game in San Francisco, how many great plays you had catching the ball and making yards after the catch. What can a guy like Zeke do this offseason to help himself out to be a better threat out of the backfield as a pass catcher?
Probably create better throwing angles for Dak if he's coming out of the backfield, or especially on the swing route. I mean, my routes was pretty simple. I was either primary or the third or fourth read. It depends on how Zeke has been in the progression of Dak in terms of the reading progression, that is. But for the most part, I think just creating better throwing angles would be helpful. But that's what Tony Pollard should come in for. He should be the third down back that's making those pass routes down the field. He ran those routes. Zeke can do the same thing, but Zeke can use some rest, too, at the same time.
I'm kind of curious, Emmitt. We got Emmitt Smith joining us here on the K&C Masterpiece on 105.3.
They better know who this is.
But when it comes to Dak, and I mean, we hear, and we've been watching him, we've been observing this, the leadership, the qualities that he has, And I mean, you played with Troy, and we're always told, Michael Irvin will say it every single day, that was Troy's team. And I'm always curious, the comparisons, they're not going to be exactly the same, but what other traits does Dak need to develop or grow into to become, a 3-time Super Bowl champion like Troy was?
Well, that's a very good question.
Thank you.
I think he has what it takes to become a Super Bowl champion. I think mentally, he probably needs to pick and choose his moments at critical times when he should take off and utilize his legs versus trying to make the big play all the time or make the one play. I think what he can do is put himself in position to where he can go from 2nd and 10 to 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4. So he can make the downs much more manageable.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid to do that. I think when the game is on the line, you have to go back and play backyard football at some point. So don't forget who you are and what you're capable of. Take advantage of every tool that you actually have within your toolbox. Your arm is great. Probably a little bit more consistency a little bit there. Maybe the injury may have hampered that a little bit this year, but for the most part, I think Dak has what it takes.
Now, I know the world with social media and everything has changed since then, but Dak gets a lot of flack. Obviously, Romo got a lot of flack. I'm curious if you could take us back in time to the holdout for the first 2 games of the season after the Super Bowl. Did you hear from a lot of people, or were you able to insulate without Twitter and Facebook and all of that?
First and foremost, I got to recharacterize the way you described it.
Oh, my bad.
I didn't hold out. I was negotiating.
Okay, fair enough. Fair. It worked.
I didn't have a contract, so I was in the middle of negotiations. So I wasn't holding out because I didn't have a contract. Holdouts are guys that have contracts and refuse to come to work.
We have a segment later called Forgiveness Friday. I'll put myself in that for. We'll get it right.
But for the most part, no, I didn't get a lot of flack. But when we started losing, people were getting upset, and they were probably mad at me for not being there. But I even got death threats, to be honest with you.
Oh man.
I didn't realize I had death threats until we were playing New Orleans one night, and I was walking off the field, and I had about 5 or 6 security people around me, and I never understood why. And later on, I said, "What's going on?" And one of the FBI guys came up to me and whispered in my ear. I said, "Why are all these folks around me like this?" He said, "Well, Mr. Smith, we received some information about someone threatening your life." I said, "Really?" Yeah, I was shocked.
Wow. Well, let's talk about. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
That's my experience, but I didn't know it, and thank goodness the NFL is very good about protecting its players and so forth. But I think sometimes people get overzealous about some of the things that they want to see versus what they are seeing, and so it is what it is.
Emmitt, the other day, Jimmy Johnson talked about Jerry Jones. I don't know if you saw the interview or not, but what are your thoughts when Jimmy kind of takes shots at Jerry as the leader of the Dallas Cowboys organization?
Well, I didn't see the interview. Let's make that clear. So I'm not sure exactly what was stated, but Jimmy's in a position to where he has to speak his mind and be truthful about what he's speaking. He has the integrity of a head coach. He has the integrity of playing and coaching the Dallas Cowboys, and the interaction between him and Jerry. We know their history. So I think Jimmy is being very fair. I think he would be fair. I don't think he's going to do it just to be doing it. And I think sometimes positive criticism can be good, can be handled in the right direction. I mean, we all need to evaluate ourselves and what we're doing to either help a situation or hurt a situation.
Emmitt, the Wooly Bully Zach Wolchuk from our evening show texted me yesterday and said he wanted me to tell you that you're his hero and he loves you. A, do you love him too? And B, what was that moment that you realized just how much you actually, you meant to other people outside of your circle? Was it that New Orleans moment, or was there another time where you were like, oh man, I can make a huge difference being a Cowboy?
Yes. let me answer the first part. I love him. I love him more. Put it that way.
You just made his day.
Nice.
No, it's all good. I mean, just to be loved, period, is a wonderful thing. People are looking for love anyway.
For sure.
People are looking to be accepted. And so, and I'm no different. I mean, I try to do the best I can what I have to work with and try to impact people's lives in the most positive way that I possibly can. And so I think for me, when you have a kid or a grown person or a grandmother point to you as a person of influence and a person of positive standard, that's meaningful. And it goes to show that you never know who's watching or who's looking. And trying to do what is right all the time can be hard. And sometimes people catch you at the best moments, and sometimes they don't always catch you at the best moments. But you try to be polite and gentle in terms of how you let people down. People don't want to be let down.
Mm-mm.
People don't want to be told no. Sometimes no is the best answer. And I try to keep that in balance and keep that in perspective, but also try to honor people's requests. The requests, they come, and they keep coming, and they keep coming. And so for me, I've developed this calluses in my personality to just try to accommodate as much as I possibly can. And when it's time to shut it off, it's time to shut it off because I have to be a human as well.
Now, we're going to talk about the tequila venture, National Margarita Day coming up. I also want to know about your NASCAR and Xfinity series. But before we get to any of that, I was curious. We all celebrate Super Bowl 27 and obviously 28 and 30 as well as being one of the most fun times we ever had watching football. I was curious for you, what was the best game you were ever in terms of like, you didn't know if y'all were going to win, but it was a hell of a game one way or another?
Probably the NFC Championship game against the 49ers the very first time was a very thrilling game. The game against the Giants in New York, January 2nd, was a game where we didn't know what was going to happen. Had to kick a field goal with Murray making the field goal in overtime to win that one to secure our home field advantage and all. Those were two awesome games to be in. And plus the Thanksgiving Day game against the Packers, I believe. We had to come from behind. Jason Garrett was our quarterback at the time. Those were great games to play in. They were exciting games. They were games where anxiety is running high, but you executing and making plays.
Talk with Emmitt Smith right here on 105.3 The Fan. I know y'all didn't necessarily like play alongside one another, but you're part of the Cowboys fraternity. How the hell did DeMarcus Ware not get into the Hall of Fame last night?
That makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of things don't make sense. And I tell you, I think the Hall may have been trying to make up for guys that probably should have been in the Hall a long time ago. And they smited some of the players that probably are well-deserving right now. The question has become, beyond DeMarcus Ware, how about Devin Hester? This kid has the most return touchdowns, everything in the history. We're talking about history of the game. The most. And he doesn't get in. That right there, my friend, is a complete debacle. And that's a clear illustration of politics, if you will, at its worst, and not honoring the integrity of the game the way it should be honored.
I'm really glad that you said that about Devin Hester. That has been an ongoing argument on this show. Now, this feels like it can't be real, but you're participating in National Margarita Day, which is on February 22nd, which is 2/22/22. Did they adjust that just for you?
You know, it's amazing how the stars just line up, huh? I don't think that they intentionally did that for me, but you know what? I will take it.
Yeah, take the credit for that one every time.
So on 2/22/22 this month, I'm gonna have me a margarita for sure, and I'm gonna put that Ocho Añejo in it. That Hedador Ocho Añejo, baby, it's gonna be good.
So good.
I'm gonna get me a 32-ounce bottle or a glass and fill it up and sit back on my sofa and enjoy the moment. And I'm gonna take pictures of it.
And also coming up really soon, I know you've been in the NASCAR scene, but are y'all going full time on the Xfinity series with your team this year?
Yes, we are. We start in Daytona next week, next Saturday.
How did you get into this to begin with? And it sounds like you're going to be really busy like the next 2 weeks.
Are you guys not aware that my driver, Jesse Iwuji, is from Carrollton, Texas?
Ooh. I guess not.
Yeah, he's from Carrollton, Texas. And he's a Naval Academy grad. He's served in the military for over 7 years. He's still serving right now in the reserves. He played football. His favorite football player was yours truly. He wore 22 in high school, 22, I believe, at the academy. And when he raced a couple of years ago at Texas Motor Speedway, one of my companies, Notable Live, sponsored his car. And he drove in that race for the first time on the track. So since that time frame, he approached me about joining this team and becoming part owner with his race team. And I obliged, and I'm trying to help him grow, help him become successful, chasing after his dreams, while NASCAR has created opportunity for minorities to come in and own their own teams. And so I'm excited about his future. I'm excited about the opportunity to work with NASCAR as well.
And that's great stuff. And Emmitt, before we let you go, I know Kevin asked about DeMarcus Ware.
We got to fix that other one.
We've been pushing for Darren Woodson to be. We've been trying to trumpet this campaign for a long time. Would you want to put out some words for Darren Woodson to be in the Hall of Fame too?
There's no doubt. I mean, the Cowboys has been smiting for a long time. They need to lift the ban on the Dallas Cowboys and let some of the great ones in. I mean, period. I mean, Darren Woodson, DeMarcus Ware. These are proven, tremendous football players. And their stats, what they meant to their teams, and what they've done in their careers is noteworthy of being a Hall of Famer.
Man.
So, guys, I'm going to get off this phone. I'm going to go get me some tequila this morning, probably get me a Bloody Mary, drop a little of this Ultra Añejo in there, and ride off to the rest of the day to the media center and just talk trash all day long.
It's been a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.
You guys be good.